And
There we go.
here we go. Welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining us for this first income tax tips for network marketing. I'm Jean Paskey. I've been doing network marketing for off and on for the past 40 years. And sometimes I made some significant money and sometimes I didn't. But I've never seen anything explode like CTFO. This has been the most exciting thing I've ever done in my life. Um, and I'm seeing that a lot of you are earning income that you didn't earn before. And so people gearing up for next year, we can go at this and be more prepared. So some things to think about is that our as employees, we're taxed 5 times before ever receiving earned income. And as business owners, we're allowed deductions before paying taxes on our income earned. So what we're going to talk about is ways to maximize the deductions and credits that we're allowed. And I'm going to advise people to get yourself an accountant, someone that you can work with, hopefully someone that has some experience with network marketing, but they don't have to. There's a lot of different types of home-based businesses, and that category, is pretty much the same wherever. So we're going to talk about, not going to talk about tax evasion because that's illegal. What we're going to talk about tax avoidance, which is not illegal. So how to take legitimate tax deductions, the kind of things that you're going to need to be keeping track of, and hopefully an easy way that you can start right out in 2019 with a spreadsheet or a ledger and keep track of things as you go. I tend to fall behind and then it's a month of catch up. So you can convert some of your everyday living expenses into legitimate tax business deduction expenses. Things like your car, the gas for your car, the tires, the repair and insurance. If you use your home, I'm in a dedicated room in my home. It's a kind of a bonus room off the dining room in this old craftsman home that we live in. And it's a 10 by 20 foot room. So it's 200 square feet. And I kind of have a divider and a bed over there. But I'm going to be putting that in one of the bedrooms upstairs and bringing down a love seat. And there's a TV and there's, computers and my scanner and printer and everything is in here. So it's going to be just a dedicated room just for business. So my phone's in here, everything all my products are in here, all my supplies are in here. So this is going to be my dedicated home office and nothing else. It's not going to look like a bedroom. It's not going to look like a workout room or anything else. It's just Jean's office. So it's 200 square feet and the house is approximately 2,500 square feet. So when you do the math, that's about 12.5% of the house. So there's some spreadsheets that I added to the files of our group, CTFO, Healthy Not High, and I took off the stuff on them, but so they're just blank, but mine are filled out or partially filled out. And so I have things on here like meals, postage, office expenses, advertising expenses. And don't write these down because it's all on your sheets that are in the thing. Travel and entertainment, parking, education, sample supplies, promos, website fees, if that is applicable to you, PayPal fees, different things, your mileage. Like I live in a really tiny town and I go to the post office every day and I'm mailing out packages and picking things up, and it's half of a mile to the post office and that's a half a mile back. So I get to deduct 1 mile a day going to, I'm going there anyway, but because I'm mailing something out or picking up product, generally I can write that off, and I have the receipts with the date, and there's my 1 month. Sometimes I have to go twice. So another thing that I started that my accountant had me do is keep track of your utilities and expenses for your household. And that is also in the files. And so you can keep track of your property taxes. If you're renting a house, keep track of your rent. If you have renter's insurance, or if you own your own home, if you have a mortgage, keep track of that payment. How much is the principal? How much is insurance? How much is taxes? We've reached a point in our life where we actually get to own our home now, but we still have to pay insurance, and we have property taxes, and also things like your auto insurance, and then all your household utilities, because I'm going to be able to deduct part of that 12.5%. I'm not sure how it all plays out. I'm sure there's some sort of formula that the accountant uses, but I just give her the numbers and they figure it out. So things like your electricity, your water bill, your internet and phone and cell phones, and propane, your garbage, if you have any landscaping or home improvements done, maybe you had a painter came in, maybe you had a new roof put on, write those things down and what you paid for that, because they may be able to use that information. So keep track of everything. So the basic forms are in the files. So, anyway, on my notes here, things like auto, gas, tires, repairs, insurance, your mortgage, interest, home maintenance, insurance, property taxes, electric bill, natural gas bill, water, sewer, legal and professional services that pertain to your business. So like if you have to pay an accountant, guess what? Next year you get to write that off. So your travel expenses, mileage, meals, and entertainment. Now, one thing, a lot of, if you go to like H&R Block or some of these, I don't know what to call them, they're just kind of run-of-the-mill places, and they can do basic stuff, but you give them anything hard and they just go, oh, you don't want to do that. It'll raise a red flag. And that's not true unless you do something outlandish. This is very legitimate expenses. So it's not going to raise a red flag. So it's my opinion that they're just saying, I don't know how to do your taxes. So I would go somewhere else and talk to someone who does know how to do this. And Deborah, I know you're involved in more than one thing. And most of my life, I've been involved in more than one thing. And so you can just kind of add all those checks together. And that's what I've always done. But I do get, separate 1099s. Does everybody know what a 1099 is?
I do.
It's not employee compensation. So when you're an employee, you get a W-2. Those have to be out they're mailed by the end of January 31st, I think. And if you're not employed, but you earn more than $600 a year from any entity, then you're going to receive a 1099 from that person or that company. So that's it's called non-employee compensation. And I've been a bookkeeper off and on for many years, and I've owned my own landscaping business, and so I had to do my own books, and I've done books for contractors, and for a while was a CFO to go. So I've I was the person who mailed those things. I mailed the W-2s. I've filed stuff with the IRS. So that's my experience. I'm not a tax accountant, so I can't tell you how to do your taxes. I go get a professional to do that because they have the software. It's too hard to figure this out on your own. So some of the red flags are going to be expenses or credits that are not associated with your business. So if you tried to write off, I don't know, let's just say you bought a boat and you decided to write that off, and you better have a way to prove that you use that boat for business. So if you had a boat related business, then that would be legitimate. But if you're just or maybe you're doing really well, and like Michael Swilling, our top money earner, and you use that boat for taking your clients out. The kind of money he earns, which a few months ago I heard was like crazy, 60,000 a week or something like that. So yeah, then you could probably legitimately cover that. For the rest of us, no. That's extravagant. So items that are lavish or extravagant in nature, for you as an individual or for recreational use. Like I'd like to have a brand new motorhome, but I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to write that off. So, but if you used it regularly, which I won't for business, but if a person did, like they traveled around a lot from state to state to see their teams and put on rallies and meetings and things like that, yeah, there would be a way to do that. I have no desire to do that. I could do that, but I'm not going to. Or like a large deduction that's out of line with the amount of income that you're reporting. So it can't be something huge like that. Abusive use of your deductions or credits associated with your business. So these are the red flags, and I have them written down in the notes. So the key to unlocking your income is that employees don't know is what we call adjusted gross income, or your taxable income. So a W-2 employee that had, let's say, gross 40,000 a year, and then they have some standard deductions of 6,100 and individual expenses of 3,900 equal $10,000. So the 40,000 minus 10,000 equals a $30,000 taxable income. So that's just simple math. That's what you're going to be taxed on for your income tax. So you couldn't deduct more than 30,000 because that would trigger a red flag. Any questions on that? Okay. So there's credits and there's deductions. Now credits are for everybody, and they're usually, you know, put in place to stimulate the economy. I'm going to read this, but a tax credit is dollar for dollar reduction in your actual tax bills. Like there's tax credits for children. Let's see. Here's a few credits. There are a few credits that are even refundable, which means that you owe $250 in taxes but qualify for a $1,000 credit. You'll get a check for $750. Most tax credits, however, are not refundable. So you're just going to get, I'm just trying to think of one that, you know, there's earned income credits, there's child care credits, you get deductions for your spouse and your children. This differs from a tax deduction, which is a dollar amount the IRS allows you to subtract from your adjusted gross income. The AGI, adjusted gross income. So you would take your credits that everybody's allowed probably off of your gross income, and then all of these other deductions we talked about, a portion of your household expenses, you know, the postage, all of your printing, your postage, you bought a bunch of envelopes to mail, you know, padded envelopes, you know, all of those things you keep receipts for, everything, you keep the receipts. And I have a really elaborate filing system here, and it's a box full of receipts. So, you know, you don't have to get too super fancy, but they're actually kind of in order. So I can, you know, I'm like, oh, what was that guy's address? And I can flip through there. So,
Jean, can I ask you a question?
yes, please.
See, what we do right now is we have a Schedule C. Do you do a Schedule C?
My accountant does. Yeah, absolutely. For the business.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
And so the reason I wanted Linda on the call as well was because when both people are working, then this is a great thing to have a home-based business to get some more deductions, right?
Right. In most cases, yeah. Because, you know, and well, we're coming to like, you have to be like a bona fide business. You have to like run it like on a consistent basis, and a consistent basis could be as little as 3 to 4 hours a week. But you're consistently doing something. You're listening to calls. You're talking to people. You're consulting with your upline. You're doing things that are business related. Did I answer your question? Yeah, you'll be filing a Schedule C and then a SE, self-employment.
Oh, okay.
But the accountant does all that for me. So I'm a bookkeeper, not an accountant. Did I answer your question?
Me?
Yeah, Deborah.
Yeah, that's what to let them understand it would actually be a Schedule C, because home-based business is like a brick and mortar business, Schedule C.
It can be, you know, and I'm getting there. I mean, this is probably the most consistent money I've ever made in network marketing. And I've got close to 600 people on my team legitimately, and 850 if you count the profit sharing positions. And this is in 7 months. So listening to the call. Did anybody here listen to the call last night with Leah?
Not the one not yet, not the one last night, but I got my email.
Posted the replay, and the last part of that was with Michael Swilling and Leah, and they're talking about 2019 is going to make 2018 look like nothing. They've got stuff. I took some notes, and I don't know where they are. Yeah, they said there's something about the 10X Pure. There's some great stuff happening there that's going to blow our minds. The company will be like a totally different company next year than this compared to this year. It's already totally different than anything else I've ever done. And they have some spectacular announcements. I was just dying. I'm like, what? Come on, tell us this. They have one announcement that's bigger than anything. And Michael knew what it was, and he won't tell us. And then he said, by any measure of growth we've seen this far, it's going to pale by comparison. So it's a great time to get involved and get other people involved and in the matrix and your downline and secure a spot, because it's going to be huge. So people need to know how to do what we're talking about. So anyway, let me find out. Go ahead. Somebody. Oh. So I want to make sure I didn't forget something. Credits and deductions. Okay, the tax credits dollar per dollar. This differs from a tax deduction, which is a dollar amount the IRS allows you to subtract from your adjusted gross income, making your taxable income lower. The lower your taxable income, the lower your tax bill. Either way, a $10,000 credit makes a bigger dent in your tax bill than a $10,000 tax deduction does. Those credits we talked about first that are pretty much for all of us, they take that adjusted gross income down. Your tax professional can explain what tax credits are available to you, or you can look them up online. If you just Google, IRS tax credits for 2018, you can see what they are. I was going to put them in here, but every year it's going to change. So, okay, you can take a legitimate tax deduction if, number one, you run a business or on a consistent basis, a minimum of 3 to 4 hours per week. I work my business all day long, I took off today. I had a meeting for the care of my mother, and my husband and I went out to lunch, and it's a holiday tomorrow, so I didn't really do much, and nobody else is doing much either, so it was pretty easy to get. But I answered questions and posted a few things. So I'm working every single day, even if I'm on vacation. And number two, if you run your business with the intent of making a profit, and I guess there are businesses people have that they don't want to make a profit, but I definitely want to make a profit because we're retired and we're on Social Security, and you know, we can make it on what we earn from our what do they say, entitlements, and that you work your whole life to get. And my husband has a, you know, this carpenters union retirement, but that doesn't leave a lot of extra if you want a new car, or if you want to take a really nice trip, or if you want to, you know, there's just, you know, or you want to make some major home improvements. It's not enough, you know. It's no fun to live on that side of the budget.
Ooh.
Supposed to be in there. He just loves being on camera.
Oh.
So your home as a business place. I highly recommend this. Not everybody can do it. If you've got a house full of kids, it's pretty hard to do that. Maybe find a little corner somewhere, but you know, we've got this big, huge house, and I'm just using this one big, giant room downstairs for my business, and it's pretty cool. So never had this big of an office before, but it's big enough that people can come in and we can sit and talk. And so anyway, and then there's some things I want to do to it, like I need better lighting. So, you know, my husband's a contractor, but some of that expense we could actually write that off too, because it was done for the purpose of my business. So you must to use your home as a business place, you must carry on a bona fide business. So when I had a landscaping business, I had, you know, I was divorced, my kids were grown and gone. I lived in a 3-bedroom house, and so 1 bedroom was a dedicated office. And yeah, I did have a legitimate business with employees. The business portion must be exclusive, regular, and for your trader business. So this room, like I said, is going to be exclusively an office, not a bedroom. And by taking the little single bed out of here and putting in a sofa, then you couldn't possibly call it a bedroom. Or it could be a separate room or portion of your house. The business part of your home must be one of the following. So it's not all 3 of these, it's just any of these. So it could be your principal place of business, as this is for me, or it could be a place where you meet and interact with customers in the normal course of your trade or business, or a separate structure you use in connection with your trade or business. So maybe you had a she shed, you know, or you had a garage that you converted into an office, you know, or maybe a tiny home or something that you moved onto your property, and so it's on your property, but it's a separate building. Those are some examples. A portion, so when you have your home as a place of business, a portion of your rent or your house payments, your electric, gas, water, home phone, we talked about all these before. Even things like security, part of your security system. I didn't mention that before. Some furniture, like say I have a love seat, reclining love seat upstairs. I want to move down here. I'm not going to go buy new furniture, but someday maybe I would. You know, if I'm making more money, maybe I would go buy more furniture. So that could be a write-off. You know, some office furniture. I don't think I'm ever going to need that. I've got pretty much everything I need. So also cleaning, house cleaning. Oh, good. They removed the 40-minute time limit. So that may be deducted. So if I had regular events here, and I don't think they'd cover the cleaning for the whole house, but this portion of a house, you know, you'd still get to deduct the 12.5%. So again, most interest in real estate taxes, insurance, rent, repairs and maintenance. If I painted the room, changed out a light fixture, those things are legitimate tax deductions. Utilities and home depreciation. If you own your home, you're going to get a 1098 from the bank on your mortgage and interest and taxes. And the form 8829, that you'll create with your expenses. And so basically you've got a double deduction is one way it was explained to me on a video I watched. I don't know how to explain that, but just keep track of everything. That's my best advice. Then using your car. So we have several vehicles, but only one car that I drive on a daily basis. And I didn't buy it. I wasn't even in this business when I bought it. But it's pretty new. But I've only been with CTFO since April. So, but every time you leave your home, it could be a potential business expense. So if I go to the bank and I end up talking to the teller about my business and how come I'm, all this money's flowing into my account because I transfer money every week when we get paid. And then, talking about my business. So, and everything is we live up in the mountains. So it's 20 miles to the bank. I could write that 20 miles off because we talked about my business. So sounds like a stretch, but if you wrote it down that I talked to Kelly on this day about my home-based business, and it becomes a legitimate tax expense. One of the suggestions that I came across doing this research was purchase a car sign, and they have those in the CTFO store. You can order car signs. I know Dr. Mike, who's on our team, who makes those cool T-shirts that I wear all the time. He has car signs that he can make. I'm personally not a fan of car signs. I'm always worried about the magnetic type or stick-on type damaging the paint. But even just window stickers or window clings that if your windows aren't tinted, you can put them on the inside, or you can do the vinyl lettering on the outside. And ask me about CBD or something, or your website on there. So anyway, if you're going to try to deduct part of your car expenses, good idea to have some sort of advertising on it. The 2018 mileage deduction, it varies from year to year. I looked it up. This year it's 54.5 cents per mile. So I told you it's a half a mile every time I go to the post office. So every time I go, I get to deduct 54.5 cents. Try to identify circumstances when you can redirect expenses to a tax deductible event. So just like I said, like if you're talking to the lady at the bank or in another place that maybe it wasn't your intent to go there as business, but you ended up talking about business and you ended up sponsoring someone. I did a vendor fair a couple weekends ago, and it's 6 miles from here. So the mileage down and mileage back was tax deductible. The $40 I paid for the booth space is tax deductible. I put together a really nice gift basket, and I took a picture of it, and I made a flyer of everything that was in it and the value of the products. And I donated that, and it was over $100. And I donated that for the raffle. And so I can deduct all of that. I did a $50 credit for a door prize drawing. I can deduct that. The printing that I use for my flyers and brochures, and I kind of just deduct that as I go. When I buy ink and when I buy paper, all of that's a tax deduction because I don't use ink or paper for anything but business. It's pretty much all I do. If you had a life and you had a family, and you might want to consider, well, what percentage, it's 25% or is it 75% business. You kind of use that as your guide. But for me, this is pretty much all I do. So and then keep a good mileage log. You can just buy a mileage log, or you can use a calendar. Like I keep all my events on a calendar, so I don't forget anything. And so that event, I know how many miles it was. If I go to an area where I had a team from my previous business and it's 2.5 hours from me, I put in the address where I'm going. I go onto MapQuest and it has my home address, and I put in where I'm going, and let's say it's 120 miles. And so then I double it. And so I can write off 240 miles for that event, plus the meal that I ate when I got there, plus the toll that I had to pay one way. There's no toll on the bridge going in, but there's a toll coming out. So there's $5. I had to pay that. So that's how I do it. If you're doing a lot of business travel, and there's an app called Mile IQ, I think it's called, that a lot of people just read about, and it's not very expensive, and it tracks. You key in where you're going and whether it's personal, business, work, whatever. I guess never used it. Or just any, and there's another app I think called TripLog. So talk to other people, see what they're using and they like, and sometimes they'll recommend something and they get a little kickback if they refer you. So wasn't going to do that. Even if I had one, I wouldn't do it here. But and then other auto expenses to track are repairs, tires, insurance, car washes. Like I don't want to pull up in this big event and my car all muddy, so I think I need to get my car washed. So, and that was $10 or $15, so I should be able to write that off, or a portion of it. Your gas, oil charges, parking tolls, etc. A big one for those of us in this business is meals and entertainment. Meals and entertainment can be a way to generate income. You can take people out to lunch because you want to tell them about your business, or maybe just meet them for coffee, but you pay, and tell them what you're doing and why you're doing it, and hopefully that they'll get excited and want to join your team. And so that's a legitimate tax expense. It also creates goodwill. Just saying, hey, we're going to this event and all you guys are in my downline, I'm buying dinner, so, and I've done that. Or to thank employees, or in our case, representatives for a job well done. Let's say you have a team of people that live around you. Nobody lives by me. I did sponsor my neighbor, so I guess one person does. But, if you wanted to thank them for their achievements, they just made a rank and you wanted to take them to lunch, make a big deal out of it. So that's another good legitimate tax deduction. Also, your spouse can be totally paid for as well if you can show that the purpose was clearly for business. So let's say I went to, I did go to the gala in Las Vegas a couple months ago, and my husband would have loved to have gone, and he would have gone to the event with me. He loves these things, but he also had a planned hunting trip on that, and he left the same day I left. And so he didn't get to go, but one of the gals on my team took her husband, and he was there the whole time, at the event. So you paid for 2 registrations, they're both tax deductible. You've had 2 airfares, they're both tax deductible. You had, twice as many meals, they're all tax deductible because her husband participated. If I took my husband, like my ex-husband, and he just went golfing while we're in Vegas while I'm working, that's not tax deductible. That's the reason we're not married anymore. So some other tax deductions are things like gifts. And they did some of that at that recent event. And the reason I was probably more generous than a lot of people might be is because it's a local school, and it's a pretty low income community. And that's where my grandkids are going to be going to school. And so I support, like, even if I wasn't able to make it, I would have still paid the $40 and just keep it. But I did do a nice raffle drawing. So, any kind of gifts and drawings, samples. Sometimes I'll make up samples, like I'll buy a big jar of the Ultimate Deep Healing Cream with emu oil. I really like the new 500 milligram because the bigger containers are stronger than the small containers. There's more CBD per ounce, and they're also better value. So buy one of those, and then I have little containers where person, you can get quite a few samples out of that. And so you could, that bottle is, or that jar is $79.97. So I could write that off because I'm giving it all away as samples, and the little jars, that I bought. Aromatools.com is where I buy a lot of the things for samples.
Oh, and also Etsy. Etsy.com has really inexpensive, cute glass
Oh, that's
containers.
nice to know. I wouldn't even have thought of them. I did buy some of those small eyedropper bottles that are much smaller, but they've got a nice dropper and they make a nice sample. But the problem with, it is expensive to give that away. You wouldn't give those away to someone like, here, have a sample, I mean, and only be able to get, 2 or 3 uses out of it is, to me, is not a really good indication of how the product's going to work for you. I think a person really needs to give it 30 days, to really feel the full effect. So I think it's easier and it's smarter to not give samples. Really, the pain cream's one thing because they, but with the program that we have where they can sign up for no money, and they can order, and if they don't like it, they can get. We have the 60-day money back guarantee. And people often will want me to guarantee it, and I said, well, I can't. The reason I won't is because we're allowed 1 return per product. And so if you try the 750 hemp oil, CBD hemp oil, and you're not satisfied with it, then I'm not going to ask for a return because I'd be using up my get out of jail free card. But you could go ahead and enroll and set yourself up as a customer and order that. And if you're not happy, you can get a refund. So it's also a good way to get people sponsored, and then you're not having to buy and ship, which I still do a lot of because I'm old and there's a lot of people that are just never going to do this. They're just never going to do it. They don't have a computer. I don't get my credit card out. I trust you, just get it for me. Or I have a lady who owns a couple of restaurants and she's really busy and she doesn't want to mess with anything. She says, Jean, just get it for me. If it doesn't work, I'm out the money. I don't care. So, there's people that are never going to sign up, even if it's free. So I support them, and one way I support them is I order 3 packs of the bottles, and then I can still sell it at wholesale and make a little bit on that. So here's a good, business clothing. So when I buy a shirt from Dr. Mike, or I just bought one off of the company website that was real cute. It ran a little small. Could be that I'm running a little big right now, but it was really cute, and it was $21.99 plus tax, shipping, whatever. So let's say it was $25. I can write that $25 as a business deduction because it was about hemp oil, and so it indicates that is and a business of mine. Did you know that if you have children between the ages of 17, you can hire them and write that off as a business expense? So, I mean, I probably have grandchildren that age, but you can hire your children, Schedule C, contract labor, ages 7 to 17. The rules of engagement is that you have to have a W-9 on file. So, and you provide them with a 1099 for income paid. So you had a record of, I paid that kid, $500, or so let's say it had to be over $600 because, technically you don't have to give a 1099, but you can for any amount. And then you create a contract for services performed. So let's say the child's job was to fold brochures or something, and then you'd have a little contract and you show that you paid them. And this is a tax-free option for children of this, that they're your children of this age and they're not subject to payroll taxes. And the last thing I want to talk about is commingling. And by that I mean kind of putting your personal life and your business life together. And when you're new with this, it's fine. And where I'm at right now, it's fine. But where I expect to be next year, it's not fine. So I think, you know, when you look at someone like Michael Swilling or some of the top leaders in this company or any company, they often have a DBA, a doing business as sort of assumed name. Team Genesis, for example, or, you know, some of these group names. They also often will incorporate. And so then I can change, like right now it's tied to my social security number, but if I were to incorporate or even create a sole proprietorship or partnership, you
Or
don't,
LLC.
yeah, I don't know if I'd recommend an LLC. I'd probably do a sole proprietorship or
Okay.
um, oh, it's too late for me. I'm trying to think of the word. Anyway, so then it takes, you know, that, I mean, it's when you're really big, you know, and you're talking major income. And I mean, right now I'm earning what I used to make working full time without having to drive anywhere and having to be gone all day. So to me, that's significant income, but it's still, you know, just working from home. But it, you know, if you want, when you get bigger, you may want to take it out. And I mean, I have a friend who started with a company years ago, and he spent, this is before we had computers and we had cell phones or any of that. He spent 10 years sitting in his office in his apartment on the phone. And he's the top money earner with his company now. And he makes on an average over 200,000 a month. And now he's 10 years older than me, and his health is not good. And so, you know, he's his whole business is an entity, it's a corporation. And the reason for that is it's his legacy. So when, you know, he's not married, and so who continues on as this entity? And so it's all set up as a corporation. S Corp was what I was trying to think, an S Corp. So it's set up as a corporation. And so, you know, his kids or his niece or whoever he dedicates that to, or a combination of all of them, maybe that legacy can continue. So when you have big money that you're making in this type of business, that is an option. Something we can always dream. But he's a good friend. I can call him up. We'll go have lunch. I mean, I have so much admiration for him for what he did. Excuse me. So that's what I mean by commingling, you know, keeping your business separate from your personal life. And, you know, one example of that might be, let's say you girls are coming over to my house for a little training tomorrow night, and I go to the store and I and I buy groceries. I would, you know, the juice and the cookies and the stuff that I bought to serve, or the cake or the brownies or whatever, I should have them ring that up first and give me a subtotal, and so that I can write, this is what I did use for the refreshments at my meeting, or maybe I bought paper plates and napkins or whatever. So, and a flower arrangement. And so that was all part of the event, but I get to enjoy the flowers for the rest of the week. So, so documentation beats conversation. And so it's important to write everything down and keep track of everything. Now, anybody have questions?
I don't.
I'm sure there's going to be some at some point. Julie,
They have also Google Docs are free on the computer, so you can actually do your sheets up like that, you know, like, you know, with columns and all that.
Instead of using Excel, so if someone didn't have Microsoft Office, they'd be able to.
They could do the Google Docs, and it's free.
Yeah, I guess I'm not too old to learn new tricks. I learned how to make videos and make my own YouTube channel. So, I mean, that was huge.
Well, the Google Docs, I didn't even know existed until one of my younger girls told me about it.
Julie, Amber, you guys got any questions?
Over 35,000 five-star.
Amber's having a party.
People can't stop talking. This is good to review, but it makes sense so far. It seems clear. Keep repping.
Okay, well, I'm going to sign off. Thanks for everybody, and we'll keep learning.
Thank you so much, Jean.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye,
you.
y'all.
Bye.